Good evening. I'm Arnie Tyler, MerLion Advisory Group President and founder, and I've got some pretty cool stuff to show you up here. It's things that haven't been done. So think of this, Grandpa's fishing boat. All right, we're going to go out there and launch Grandpa's fishing boat. It's going to go collect a bunch of information and generate a bubble of information, both above the water, on the water, and below the water. And that fishing boat Grandpa's going to launch that thing. It's going to go out and do this stuff all by itself. So the automation is there, and he doesn't have to be on board driving it. Why would you do this? Well, one, if by land, two, if by sea. We've had Hamas go into Israel and do some horrific things here recently, right? The region is on a brink of major conflict. The world is on the brink of some pretty serious things. The real question is, could we have foreseen this and can we prevent it by interrupting before it even occurs? From the sea vector, I think we can do that. The challenge is that maritime domain awareness, that bubble of awareness, both above the water and below the water, is not really well understood, but it takes a lot of sensors to do it. Those sensors aren't interconnected. You can see a bunch of them listed there, things that pull information from above and below. It puts people in harm's way. They're all independent, makes it very person-intensive to be able to operate. And all those provide a monitor. A monitor will be displaying all this information. And what the Navy and Harvard has found is that after just 20 minutes of a person staring at multiple screens like this, they missed 95% of the incidents on the first crack. The Navy even found out they went further. If you tell them it's going to happen the next hour in 20 minutes, you're still going to miss 95% of them. MerLion wants to do this a little bit differently. Grandpa's fishing boat is going to be at the middle of this thing. It's going to have the Hydra cat. The Hydra is that multi-headed creature in the marine industry. The cat is the catamaran. So this is a catamaran-style fishing boat. We're going to put multiple sensors on this thing, and we're going to go out and detect threats or potential impact on our environment, whether it be boats, people, a sunken vessel that's leaking oil, the ability to monitor the water quality around the fish that are out there. And I'll come back to this a little bit because it's not just defense I'm talking about, it's about sustainability of our planet. 70% of this planet is water. We need to take care of it. We can feed all this information in that little box. It's the operations center. We can take the operations center, push that information back out to the operators that are doing the response, put it on a heads-up display like you see in the movies. And then they can go out and respond to it appropriately without having to wonder what they're up against. Our competitors are doing some similar things. Papa Romeo, Sail Drone, others. I've talked to all these guys and seen that and more. But they tend to be blue water focused, meaning focused on the oceans, not on the coastal environments, not on that what we call the littoral environment. They're focused on the big stuff. It takes ships to launch these vessels. They have autonomy, but they also have independent systems that they're working with. It's not a conglomeration. It's not an aggregation of all these different sensors. MerLion wants to do it different. So we want to do a fully autonomous system similar to what they're doing, but I'm going to make some changes to it. We're going to definitely reduce this down to just Grandpa operating this boat. All right? He's going to go out and turn it on. It's going to go do its thing. It's going to be coastal focused. It's going to have whatever sensors you want to add to it. Doesn't have to be the same set all the time. 3 challenges with it. Artificial intelligence interfacing with a robotic operating system in a marine environment where there's no roads, there's no stop signs, there's no turn signals. That system has to figure out how to navigate all by itself. The spoof-proof part of this is navigation requires satellites today. We want to get rid of the satellite interface because that's a vulnerability, a massive one. So we get rid of the satellites and we go into the Coast Guard with a system and we get certification to operate this thing. By the way, all those other competitors, they don't have this yet. The International Maritime Organization by 2025 wants to be doing this certified transits across the ocean. We need to get on board with this. We started with that little white thing down there at the bottom. It's not much, it's 5 feet. but it's already producing some funding. So when you look at this graph here, we are marketing this capability right now, but it's very manpower intensive, very time intensive, and it takes a lot of effort to get it done. We need to get $40,000 on this SBIR effort so we can actually get the SBIR grant written, a proposal, and then get that grant so we can get going on this thing. The HydroCat, get it U.S. Coast Guard approved, and then start building from there, because that's the first step. The second step, and there's possibly multiple SBIRs along the way, the next steps here are to get that 720-degree MDA. What does that mean? It's everything around us, everything over us, and everything under us. We're going to look at all of it all at one time at 720 degrees. That bubble of awareness is going to have some immediate industry applications in tracking the chemistry of the water and making sure we're taking care of the resources we have. After another 250,000 there, we want to go to sensor fusion, where we can correlate one sensor to the next. So if one sees a contact and another sees a contact, you got pretty good confidence that you're actually looking at a contact. It's not just an aberration that's on there. From there, now that's a pretty viable product for everybody. But if you want to put cybersecurity on top of that and then do a once you have one system of systems, why not have multiple systems of systems? And put that out there, and now you're covering and making a much larger bubble of awareness, and you can cover your chemistry all the way through the threats to your environment, threats to your people, threats to the coast. Pretty good market opportunity, 47 billion listed here. Serviceable, available market. That's the technology side of it. Where's that money at? Pretty good at $1.25 billion. I think we can start pretty easily just at 30 million. I'd be happy with that. All right, the part that I have not put in here, now I'm just looking at Navy, Coast Guard, Border Protection, National Oceanographic, Atmospheric Administration, that's a mouthful, and then U.S. Department of Agriculture. If I delve into the new stuff that's coming out, your wind farms, your wind energy, 16 combined annual growth rate for a wind industry that's just as big as the federal budget that we're talking about. And if you go down to aquaculture, a lot of countries rely on their aqua sources, but they're at a pretty good CAGR as well, 300 billion, 6 times. The team, I've got an outstanding team. We got nuclear engineering, physics, presidential security technology, global stability and security. I'm talking about Defense Threat Reduction Agency on Admiral Jerebick there. We've got some partners, and I'll highlight one that I want to get with, and I've already talked to them. I want TMAC involved in this. They've got the perfect artificial intelligence, robotics environment to start driving this, and we can do it down at our facility down in Port Isabel. Industry partners, I already talked to Wes Hudson out there at Shallow Sport. He's on board. He wants to get some autonomous systems built out of the shop here in Los Fresnos. We can bring some jobs into the valley pretty quick. Our next steps then is $40,000 to get this thing kicked off, get that SBIR award, the first one, get our 1.25 million over the course of that to build this thing out to defense industry and all other industries, and then start looking at how we're going to get this thing out to everywhere. It's going to take that Coast Guard acceptance, though, to get this thing started, and I need to get the funding to get that going. With that, that's all I have, and I'm ready for questions.
So how many of these units do you need? Or, I mean, I'm just trying to envision how it would work. I mean, are you going to take these measurements, if you will, in a particular square footage, whatever that area is, and will you be, how many, is it just like one unit measures what space is what I'm trying to get at?
Envision one unit like this working in the Port of Brownsville in the turning basin and being able to profile that environment, develop an entire bubble that covers that. Okay. Now it's going to take some more if you're doing, even though the channel's narrow, 17 miles out there, you're going to have several of them,
right,
or have one moving back and forth. The good part of that is as it's moving down there, it's profiling everything. As it's on its way back, if you get a change in your environment, it's going to pick up on that change. And it's going to send the alert back to the operations center. People can start moving on it and making some making some changes to whatever that threat, or assessing to see if it is an actual threat.
And the second part to that question is, how often do you have to do this to make sure your data is current? That these measurements stand up? I mean, especially if it's not just for defense purposes, but if it's like looking at environment and measuring contaminants and things like that. How often, what should be the frequency? That
So it really will depend where you're at in the world. So if you go to Pohang in South Korea, for example, the water there is it's pretty dirty. You don't want to swim in it. Manila Bay was like that, and President Duterte changed those water parameters to the point where they could swim, but it took them 6 years. So initially, I would say you're going to have boats working in there pretty constantly. Maybe a higher density of boats, depending on where, to isolate where you're having the problems at. But over time, you can relax that and start working. Maybe the entire Manila Bay is worked with one boat to just maintain currency and to highlight any specific areas that are not in compliance.
So, great presentation, and I see you're a veteran, so thank you for your service.
Sure.
I'm trying to really ascertain who your ideal customer is. From, I guess, from a revenue perspective, getting a defense contract is every company's goal and objective because of the opportunity. We look at the multi-billion dollars. But, and forgive me for my ignorance, but aren't submarines do similar work to this? Don't they have sonar and things that they can pick up in the water as well? So I'm trying to ascertain, are you trying to go to a port of Brownsville and provide a service that maybe is, obviously they're not going to buy a submarine for the most part at the port of Brownsville, but they might buy this. But from a defense contract perspective, do they need this if they already have it? And if you brought up threats a few times, I mean, wouldn't, somebody be able to blow it up fairly easily if it's a fairly small thing?
Or hack into it.
Or hack into it, yeah. So I'm thinking of all those perspectives and who is that ideal client for this particular product?
I see two ideal clients. I'd hate to limit it because the Department of Defense has got some definite needs. I worked 20 years in the Navy doing coastal security, port security operations. The challenges we had in that port, if we went to Pohang, for example, we had a guy get sick, and I'm not sure if he passed away or not, but he never dove again after that because of all the bacteria and stuff that's in the water over there. So why put a person in that environment when you can put a system like this that's taking a look at the chemistry underwater while it's looking at what's going on above the water? So you get a full maritime domain awareness, and it's actually a very strong term throughout the world in the world of navies and coast guards right now. It has been, I've seen it in Africa and other places I've been. So being able to identify what the threat is to human life, to marine life, three-eyed fish in Pohang Harbor, that's not really uncommon. So there are some issues out there that they pump human feces in that harbor for 1,000 years. So we want to be able to clean that stuff up. And can you blow it up? You can blow anything up. Use a kayak against the Ukrainians. Use a kayak against the capital ship of the Russians and sank it. So, yeah, you can do it. But guess what? Maybe this has multiple sensors. I only put 500,000 into this vessel versus 500 million. And so you're going to have to sink a whole lot of these things before it makes a difference. These are designed to give you the awareness so you can respond smartly. So when the guys get in the patrol boat to go out there, guys and gals go respond, they know exactly what they're coming up with. Think about a sheriff or a police officer showing up to a car. Every time they go up to that car, they've got no idea what's going on inside that vehicle. Now think if you had a camera inside that vehicle, so as they walked up, they saw everybody was doing. That's what I'm talking about here. Now they can respond appropriately. They can have the right tools at hand when they go do it.
Thank you.
And we are at time, so thank you.
Sir.